Wild Willie T's Arm Wrestling and Strongman Rants, bringing you commentary, news, and insights on the two sports I love the most, both from a fan's perspective and a journalistic perspective, but with a twist. Lots of rants. Hey folks, and welcome to another show. Sorry I haven't been with you in a while. For those of you who don't know, I run a small community radio station out of Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada, and that's been keeping me pretty busy lately. It's a full-time job. I start every morning at 6. I'm home usually by 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But since my wife started her full-time job, I'm here at home when the kids get home off the bus. I have to prepare supper most days. And then, like I say, on top of all that, I also have a Rumble channel and a BitChute channel where I talk about politics, and I've been doing that for years. So this Arm Wrestling and Strongman channel, which has turned out to be mostly arm wrestling, is something I want to do more often, and I think I'll do videos like this a little more often. I think I shot myself in the foot with the very first video I did on Devon Larratt because it was such a great production and I took a lot of time to produce that video. For those who don't know, I'm not an arm wrestler, and that's one of the reasons I haven't done a video is because I've been wanting to go to my first arm wrestling practice. But the club closest to me is about an hour and a half drive, and it's on Wednesday nights. And unfortunately, it's difficult to get there on Wednesday nights. So I got to find a way to do it. I'm going to try to get out there this summer. Try to get out there every week. It's Mark McPhail, the Cape Breton Golden Arms. Mark McPhail has his own YouTube channel. If you haven't had a chance to go see it, go see it. For those of you who follow Uncle John Thompson, Uncle John knows Mark, and I think Uncle John has featured Mark McPhail in a couple of his videos. So a shout out to Uncle John as well. I don't want to feel like a hypocrite when I do these videos because it seems that in the arm wrestling community, if you're not an arm wrestler, you don't get the respect that non-arm wrestlers, or you don't get, if you're not an arm wrestler, you don't get the respect that arm wrestlers get. And I guess I understand it, but at the same time, it's too bad that the arm wrestling community doesn't recognize that someone who's been a fan of arm wrestling, or someone who's been a fan of sports in general, and someone who runs a radio station and someone who does broadcasting may be able to absorb the nuances and the details of the sport and still be able to comment on it and still have valid arguments even though he doesn't arm wrestle. So hence I'm doing this video because today, by the time you watch this, it's 3:20 a.m. where I live. That's how important I felt this video was. Is I'm staying up late to get it recorded. I watched 2 videos by Neil Pickup in the last 2 days. One was an interview with Devon Larratt, and today an interview with Levan Saganishvili. And I recommend you go to Neil Pickup's channel, Supernatural Strength Official. It's his most 2 recent videos. You'll see the Levan Saganishvili, The Art of Staying Quiet, and Devon Larratt Live, The Method in My Madness. And they're quite the contrasting interviews or videos, if you will. Devon is treating this matchup pretty much like a war, like a battle, like a challenge. He addressed the idea of fear and how mastering fear is what he's after, how he wouldn't be after Levan if he wasn't afraid of him. And I've always had the saying where courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. And it appears that in this, probably the greatest arm wrestling match of all time, it appears that Devon Larratt is the only one giving his opponent the real respect that he deserves. If you go watch these 2 videos, Levan, in his video, in his interview with Neil Pickup, at one point was asked about the whole pussy comment. I'd like to address that first and foremost. I grew up if someone called me a pussy or if I called someone a pussy, I was referring to a kitten, a pussycat. So I don't know if it's that a lot of the arm wrestling community is perverted and their minds went to the gutter and thought female genitalia. But when I hear someone refer to someone else in the context of a combat sport, when I hear pussy, I think pussycat. Because what's easier to beat up than a tiny little kitten that you can hold in the palm of your hand? And even if it's a 415-pound kitten, it's still a 415-pound pussycat, right? Pussy, pussy, pussycat. My uncles used to call me a pussy if I didn't want to partake in rough and tumble activity with them, even though they were 10 years older than I was. They'd say, "You're a pussy." Pussycat, kitten. And then you'll go look at Neil pick up the interview he did with Levan, and Levan is butthurt. He's even going as far as saying, if these insults continue when we get to Dubai, I don't know. I'll tell you what, Levan. The other thing is when Neil Pickup, when he asked Neil Pickup if Neil would be offended if someone called him pussy. Well, Neil, of course, being the politically correct gentleman that he is, Neil went in to explain how, in the West, we've got a pair of kahunas, and we've got a backbone, and we've got a spine, and we've got this old saying called sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. And Neil pretty much explained how egging each other on and calling each other names and pretty much taking off the gloves is okay. I mean, like I said, I've done it with family. I've had situations where I'm on the opposing team of a sporting event than an uncle or a cousin, and there's no love lost. And when we get back to the house or to a family gathering or whatever after hours, we shake hands. But on the baseball field or on the ice surface or wherever, I have no interest in being your friend. And yeah, you're a pussy everywhere. You're all pussies. So for the Georgian Hulk to be all offended because Devon Larratt called him a little pussycat, well, I'm sorry, Levan, but if you don't think... Because what Levan said was, well, that's fine for fights, but this isn't a fight. Oh, really? Well, I'll tell you what, when you get to the table in Dubai in June, and Devon Larratt gives you the stare of death wearing his army greens and possibly his green hoodie from hell, you're going to realize that you're in a fight. And you're going to wish that you had trained for a fight, not just for your little sporting event, doing your little arm wrestling. And sorry I call that little arm wrestling, but arm wrestling to me is indeed a combat sport. Yeah, it's a strength sport, but it's a combat sport. And to hear Levan Saganishvili, who I agree right now is the number one arm wrestler on the planet, say that, well, he's not trash talking and he's not treating it that way because it's not a fight. If you're not treating this like a fight, Levan, you're going to have your hands full when Devon Larratt is standing across from you on the table. So that was just in reference to the two videos by Neil Pickup, the interview he did with Devon and the interview he did with Levan. And pretty much what I got out of it is, it seems to me like a lot of the Europeans, when you see them together, they get very giddy. The worst is Hermes Gasparini and Kardeccia. I mean, at one point they were doing videos every second day, and I just couldn't watch it. I was like, man, there's too much of a bromance going on there. Everyone's giddy, and everyone's got like these inside jokes and and I watched the East versus West press conference, and it looks to me like the West may very well be able to pull it off this time. It looks to me, and I'm only interested really in the Western matches. I've only been learning about European pullers in detail recently. I fell in love with the sport probably through WAL. So I'm very familiar with a lot of the arm wrestlers that fought in WAL. I mean, I'm familiar with the names Saplenkov, Oleg Zog. I'm familiar with some of those names, but I'll be honest, I'm not that familiar with European pullers. But when I look at the East versus West lineup, Dave Chafee versus Gennady Vigvinya, I'm going to go with Dave Chafee, probably 3-1. Matt Mask and Evgeny Prudnik. Prudnik is so good. It's another European I'm familiar with. Prudnik is so good. I'm probably going to give the edge to Prudnik here, and I'm going to say 3-2 Prudnik. John Brzenk against Zurab. I'm gonna go with the 3-1 probably John Brzenk. Michael Todd versus Ravaz. Michael Todd gets on my nerves for some reason. I don't know why. He gets along too well with some of the Europeans, I think. For some reason, Michael Todd gets on my nerves. And I don't know. Since he lost to Devon, it just seems it's excuse after excuse. And I don't know much about this Ravaz person, but I think Mike might win if he goes back to the old Mike and what used to get him victories, but I wouldn't be all that heartbroken if Ravaz won that. Ravaz won that one. Marcio Barboza versus Kidir. I can't even pronounce half these names. Kidirgarli Ungarbayev. Now, I don't know much about the European here, but I really like Marcio Barboza, and I really like what Marcio Barboza does in his training. I watched him in the WAL, so I'd like to see Marcio win there. And that brings me to the. I'll wait. I'll do Todd Hutchings last. Then there's Matt Mask versus Artem Morozov, left-handed. I think Mask is going to win that one, 3-2. Paul Lynn versus David Samusha. I'm going to go Paul Lynn there, 3-2. Arif Ertem versus Krasimir. Again, the rest of them are just European against European. The match I'm most interested in, East versus West, is Todd Hutchings against Irakli Irakli. And the reason I'm really interested in that one, and the reason the whole world should be interested in that one, is if you didn't get a chance to listen to what Todd Hutchings had to say during an interview he did with Travis Bagent and the Top Roll King. I can't believe I was Artem, I think his name is. You can go to Travis Bagent Unfiltered. It's a video done on May 17th. Tell Me I'm the Greatest, episode 6 with Todd Hutchings. And if you go approximately the 37 minute mark and listen for a bit, even go to 35 minutes or so, and listen from there on. Listen to what Todd Hutchings had to say about Devon Larratt and his experience in Toronto with Devon Larratt. And the reason I say that the East versus West matchup between Todd Hutchings and Irakli Saganishvili is so important is that Irakli is Levan's main training partner. And I've seen footage where Irakli is giving Levan quite a bit to handle. There's a video out. You can go see it on Georgian Armwrestling. And you'll see Levan training with Irakli. And you'll see Levan actually get stopped by Irakli. It's quite interesting. And when you consider what Todd Hutchings has to say about Devon Larratt, and then you consider the fact that Todd Hutchings trains with Dave Chafee, who just recently fought Levan, and Levan, in his interview with Neil Pickup, bragged about how his endurance was tested with Dave Chafee. I'm sorry, Levan, but I watched that again, and I wish I had video clips of it now. But I'm pretty sure Levan only pinned Dave Chafee twice. The rest were on fouls, and a lot of the fouls that Chafee was called on probably wouldn't be called at King of the Table. Levan, in his interview with Neil Pickup, pretty much said he's not training any differently for Devon Larratt than he did for anybody else, and that he doesn't really think Devon. He doesn't feel that Devon is physically imposing whatsoever, and he's not threatened whatsoever. And nah. Well, I'll tell you what. If Todd Hutchings destroys Irakli. Levan better rethink his training because he's going to be in trouble. If Todd Hutchings destroys Irakli, if it's even close, if Irakli doesn't absolutely walk over Todd Hutchings, Levan Saganishvili better rethink his training regimen because he's going to get destroyed by Devon Larratt. When I hear people talk about, well, Devon Larratt's not lifting weights, listen. You put 250 pounds on a dumbbell on your arm and let it do that. Or take a 300-pound man leaning on your arm with everything they've got. Which one offers more resistance and which one is more arm wrestling training? The 330-pound man who's actually arm wrestling with you and actually applying all that force on your arm in that position? Are you telling me your bicep doesn't get a workout there? Your bicep gets a workout. Everything gets a workout. But no, he's not lifting weights. He's not lifting big weights, so he's got to lose. I'll tell you what. I said this in one of my previous videos, and I'm going to say it again here. Arm wrestling news. Pradeep. Every single time Pradeep talks about Devon Larratt losing or potentially losing, he lights up. Every time Pradeep talks about Europeans versus Western pullers, he lights up and he gets this. And I appreciate the work that Pradeep does, but North America needs a champion on the YouTube airways that isn't an arm wrestler. And I'll be that guy. Because honestly, some of the smug remarks, although they're polite, are smug. And honestly, I'd rather be told to go fuck myself than have some jackass politely say something in a roundabout way that's basically telling me to go fuck myself. Know what I mean? So Pradeep did a video a while back. I believe he said he'd offer something like 5 or 6 to 1 odds to anyone who wanted to bet on the Devon Larratt match against Levan Saganishvili. And I know that on the actual betting app, it's shutout odds. It's shutout stakes. So even the pros think that Levan is going to shut Devon out 6-0. I'll put $100 on that one. Devon Larratt is at least winning 1 match. And if someone wants to 2-1 me on that one, Pradeep, if you're that confident, 2-1, so I'll give you $100. You give me 200. And as far as the entire match, well, that can be discussed as well. But I'd like to know what the odds are. I think you said 5-1 or 6-1. If you wanted to give me 6-1, I'd put $100 on that too. So I'll give you $100 if Levan just wins the match, and if it's 6-0, well then it's $200. If Devon wins 1 match, you owe me 200. If Devon wins the whole thing, you owe me 6. I'm good with that. East versus West. I really hope, Michael Todd, I hope Matt Mask wins. If Michael Todd loses, I won't be that upset, but I hope the rest of the West wins. And if you get a chance, go watch the Neil Pickup interviews with Devon and with Levan. Go check out what Todd Hutchings had to say about Devon in his interview with Travis Bagent and Artem. Go check out the Irakli and Levan Saganishvili training videos, and prepare yourselves probably to be shocked come June. I'm done now. If you like what you see so far and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like the videos. If you'd like to follow the work I do covering world issues and political issues, you can check out my work on Rumble or BitChute. Look for Canada's Red Pill and you should find me. The links to my social media accounts and methods of supporting me financially are in the description of the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm Wild Willie T, signing off from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada.